welcome President and COO of the Interface, Jason.
It's truly amazing the crowds that I'm able to draw, isn't it? I'd like to say a couple of things this morning before we bring our keynoter. For the gentlemen that are now taking my picture with the flashes, I appreciate it. But when Bill gets out here in the presentation, if you could possibly refrain from flashes, it's going to make it easier for them as they work in the presentation. I know it's difficult, but if you could make those changes. But as you're taking my picture right now, you can continue to flash all you want. I'm sorry? Okay, fine, thank you. Okay, my responsibility this morning is to say welcome to Atlanta, the city of winners, the future home of the 1996 Olympics, and to welcome you to the Windows World and Comdex Spring, and for a very exciting 4 days. I'd like to welcome also our distinguished senator who's sitting in the first row to my left, Senator Bob Kerrey from Nebraska. Let's give Bob a big hand. Bob, please stand up. Just a few points to ponder this next 4 days. We have 500 speakers, 120 conference sessions. We will have somewhere between 85 to 90,000 people in the city. It's very, very exciting. If you had problems with hotel rooms last evening, you understand why. We will have pre-registered already 5,000 international delegates. Featured country in Atlanta this week is the country of Canada, and a lot. And my recommendation to everyone here is to have your exhibit guide in your hand, to make sure you're reading the show dailies to see what's happening on a daily basis, just to keep abreast with many of the announcements that are going to actually take place in the next 4 days in Atlanta. You know, people have asked me, what takes place in the back room? What's really happening back there? And I don't want to share any top secrets with you, but I'll give you a little bit of a taste of it. Obviously, our keynoter is back there. His staff is back there. But I felt a personal responsibility, and I've been married for about 29 years. And I felt if I had an opportunity to give our keynoter some words of wisdom, I would do so. But I didn't do that. I also said, well, it is high-tech, software, hardware, etc. Maybe I could come up with something creative, maybe like a bridal registry at Egghead Software. But I also passed on that. But we'd like to welcome everyone here. It's going to be an exciting 4 days. You have a wonderful presentation taking place. And again, welcome, and we're going to go on with the keynote. Thank you very, very much.
I didn't design Windows NT. Yeah, Windows NT was designed by a team of people.
And getting us to finally come up and boot was just elation beyond belief. It was like a great weight had been lifted off our shoulders, and it was fantastic to see it run so well.
Building a new operating system is kind of a unique opportunity for anybody. There aren't too many new operating systems that get built. Where I came to Microsoft to build a system that had reliability and robustness far beyond any software that had ever existed on PCs before.
We started getting customer feedback for Windows NT a long time ago. We've incorporated a number of things into the product as a result of that.
We've got a very aggressive development cycle. We've got to make sure that we get that feedback and we can fold it in without destabilizing the system.
We run stress on the system every single night on about 150 to 200 systems. We go through the stress results, we point out who should try to go look at the particular problem and fix the bug.
The test group, in a sense, is sort of the conscience of the project. We're watching the product very closely. We're testing it around the clock. We've been working on improving the quality of the system, fixing the bugs, using the system and ensuring that it performs as it's supposed to in every case.
And then for the final release, of course, we want to get up to 98, 99% passing on the stress. People are making decisions at the right level. They're discussing the aspects of a problem and trying to work out a solution. Well, that's not bad, but it is not good either. We'll do better than that. I expect a lot out of people. I expect everybody to do their absolute best all the time. But while we're here, I want people to work. Any way that anybody wants to relax is fine with me, as long as it's conducive to what we're doing and the time of the project.
The challenge of NT is the size of the whole thing. You know, Dave is the guy that holds all that together and goes and makes sure that it all works together.
Like I say, I have great expectations. I think that we're very fortunate to have a team of people that, number one, is a team, and number two, has some very senior people, and number three, the overall quality of all the people is above what you would normally find on a project like this. You need to have a breadth of expertise, because a system this large, one mind just can't encompass. You can't encompass it. This is a great accomplishment. Everybody should really feel good about it and feel proud that you had a chance to do something like this. It may not happen again.
Well, good morning. I'm very excited to be here for the formal announcement of Microsoft's Windows NT. It was only a year ago in Chicago at the last Windows World where Microsoft introduced Windows 3.1. Windows 3.1 went on to sell over 1 million copies a month. However, I feel the product we're announcing today will have an even greater impact on how computing gets done in the years ahead. Windows NT really is a monumental product. It required over 4 million new lines of code, and it was over 4 years ago that we assembled the team to build this product. We gave that team an incredible challenge. We asked that team to pull together the best of the PC, the best of the mission-critical systems, and the best of the workstation into a single operating system. Now, it's amazing to see the reaction that we've already received from this product. We've even already got advertising being done for the product by its competitors. Some of those competitors have given the product interesting nicknames. Of course, NT is supposed to stand for new technology, but IBM likes to call it nice try. Son's Scott McNeely, who always does a good job of making fun of things, likes to call it Windows not there. And so I think it's just one example of how this product really is going to shake things up and create new opportunities. The product itself is the first completely new commercial operating system written in the last decade. It's a major technical achievement, but we see it as only one piece of all the elements that we're bringing together to create this substantial impact. Another key piece is the relationship that we have with software developers. It's always been important to us to go out and evangelize, to make sure that people write applications that take full advantage of our system. First, we went out to people who develop tools, and we have over 75 different tools running on the system today. We also made the system widely available through our software development kit, and over 65,000 development kits are out there being used for serious development. At the show, we have available a catalog which goes through the committed applications for the system, and you'll see there's over 1,000 of those already listed. Another important group that we've worked with are hardware manufacturers. Now, this is a partnership that we've had for many, many years, collaborating with companies to make sure that they can build absolutely the best hardware for our software. We've certified over 1,000 different models of personal computers as fully tested running the NT operating system. And we have listed here 24 hardware manufacturers who've signed licenses to include Windows NT with their systems. Now, there's over 20 different new systems, symmetric multiprocessor systems that have been designed specifically for NT. Now, these range from systems with 2 processors all the way up to some with 32 processors, providing really incredible performance. But even bringing together the software and the hardware is just the beginning. In order to turn that into a solution, there's a great number of companies that need to come in and put together the right software pieces. We call these companies solution providers. And we've really been dramatically changing the way we work with these companies, working far more closely with them to really realize the potential of Windows NT. There's over 2,500 companies who have entered into our solution provider program, including VARs, system integrators, and many vertical developers. Well, even after the system is delivered, there's still more to be done. And so we've created a new category of partner who we call a support partner. These are the companies who will be on the phone or be able to come out 24 hours a day and provide any support that's necessary for the system. Also, these are the partners we'll rely on to do the broad training that's required for this system, including putting out our certification program that we feel will be a key element of spreading the information about Windows NT. So it's taking all of these things together and putting them together as a complete strategy that really makes us believe we've got something here that's going to have a dramatic impact. So that's the Windows NT story. Let's listen now to what some of the people in the industry are saying about Windows NT.
Windows NT and the Pentium processors will provide a platform that will be robust enough and industrial strength enough, bringing enterprise applications into that platform. And that, at the end, will provide processing power and software capabilities to run those applications in a truly effective, world-class manner.
KnowledgeWare's strategic direction is to provide solutions focused on client-server applications. The reasons that we have chosen Windows NT is because our customers have requested that we do so. And I think with Windows NT, we're going to be able to expand the horizon of where application development is done.
The driving force of the SAP development clearly is enterprise computing, the large multinationals. As far as the US is concerned, for example, our forecast is for this year already 80% client server and 20% mainframe only. So there is a clear shift in the industry. And there are advantages for this client-server concept which are so substantial that this is the technology for the next 5 to 10 years.
Baxter's primary mission is the reliable, on-time delivery of critical supplies to the healthcare community. We've had the benefit of being able to provide Microsoft with our views, our visions, our requirements for some number of years now. We think that there is a product embodied within Windows NT that will allow us to make an orderly migration from that file server-oriented environment that we have today to a true online transaction processing-oriented, distributed processing environment tomorrow.
Compact PCs, servers, and the recently announced Pentium PCs together with the Windows NT operating system, establish a new milestone in accelerating the penetration of client-server computing throughout the enterprise.
What Windows NT and Dun & Bradstreet software leverage is our business application expertise and the scalability of Windows NT to allow those customers to move from the mainframe as they define how they want to do that. It also allows us to bring information to the desktop to support that individual customer's decision-making capability.
We're one of Europe's largest PC suppliers, but our supply is mainly to the large corporates. And these corporates are moving to client-server systems quite rapidly now. We have lots of local area networks out there, and we think Windows NT is going to make it a lot easier to get client-server systems up and going.
Development of Windows NT is important to Computer Associates because this is something that our clients have been asking for. We are going from a world where a system was just one system to where the system is the entire network. CA, which is known for its system management utilities, managing that overall network is important for our clients so that they are able to bring mission-critical applications down to the client-server and distributed environment. Windows NT is an integral part of that new environment.
Our two development teams have been working together for over 2 years to provide the capability of Windows NT with our SMP systems. What that does, of course, is allow us with a ready-to-run operating system and the scalability to allow our customers to right-size today and in the future as they grow successfully with us. That's a true partnership if you think about it, 2 years of intense effort to delight our customers in the future.
National Westminster Bank is one of the largest banks in the United Kingdom. With assets exceeding £140 billion, NatWest provides commercial and retail banking services to customers worldwide. Implementing a workflow client-server solution based on Windows NT is a fundamental strategy for National Westminster that makes us more responsive to meeting customer needs.
Bogard, Head of Systems and Technology, National Westminster Bank.
Hi, Bill.
Hello, Bill.
Well, tell us a little more about your business.
Well, National Westminster is a global bank, but I represent the UK retail division, which is one of the largest banks in the United Kingdom. We've got 2,600 branches and the largest automated teller network in the country. As well as the usual range of conventional banking products, we have some innovative telephone and electronic banking products. As well as our branches, we have a number of large processing centres for things like mortgages, pensions, insurance and credit cards.
Now, how have competitive pressures affected your business?
Well, I think all businesses are under significant pressure generated by the world economic climate and also the globalization and liberalization of markets. It's our job really to improve our financial performance, both by generating new sources of revenue and reducing our costs. Perhaps above all, we need to become supremely customer-focused, supported by first-class internal processes.
So you're automating to become more efficient?
We're redesigning our core business processes. We're eliminating them where possible, and we're also automating the remaining paper flow. Now, central to our strategy is our workflow toolkit, which enables us to automate document routing and tracking. It's based on Windows NT, and it enables us to design new workflow applications to map onto the redesigned processes.
Now, why did you select Windows NT?
Well, we believe it's a robust platform for our client-server applications and certainly an operating system with a future. It's scalable, which was another requirement we had, and it enables us to optimize the price-performance capabilities of today's multiprocessor servers. And of course, it's portable to a wide variety of hardware platforms.
Well, let's take a look at your workflow application.
Sure, Bill. We come across here, Tony Scott from NatWest will be demonstrating.
Hi, Tony. Hi, Bill.
what we've got here is an example application based upon a personal loan sanctioning process. The personal loan forms will have been scanned in a high-speed batch scanning process. They'll then have been indexed and logged onto NT SQL Server, and finally the system will have routed them to an available operator based upon the operator's skill set and authorization level. Now you can see that Tony is logged on here as an operator and that his in-tray is full. So if we have him select a work item, you'll see that the document, the original input document, comes up on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side we have the form for key entering the details, and Tony will now key enter the details from the original input form.
Now, what are the advantages of being able to assign this work automatically?
Well, basically better customer service, because we're able to reduce the turnaround time. But for us, it means that we can load balance the work across our available operator pool, and thus improve the management of our internal processes.
Now, I see you've got the scanned document there, but it's actually kind of hard to read.
Yes, that's quite right. That's why we've built in these Zoom capabilities.
Now show us exactly how this workflow application goes.
Well, when the user signs on, they're allocated a profile, and that profile determines their capabilities. Now, a workflow toolkit in general, it's a highly integrated system. It's got capabilities for workflow scripting, for work item routing, and for processing long transactions that take place across many days or many months. There's document generation facilities built into it, and a full document image processing system, as well as telephony control. Now, we're able to encapsulate mainframe legacy systems, as well as incorporate new downsized database applications. Finally, we're actually able to archive data from disk to optical storage. Now, the client software runs on Windows for Workgroups. The server platform is NT Advanced Server, which is an ideal platform for our advanced requirements, including multiprocessing. The database is based on NT SQL Server, enhanced by the RAID 5 and disk mirroring facilities from Advanced Server. Now you can see that in fact this particular sanction is greater than this operator can perform. So we need to route this to a supervisor. If I ask Tony to go and operate the supervisor workstation, in fact, of course, normally Tony would stay here and pick up the next item of work from the in-tray. You can see that the item has now appeared in the in-tray, and so we can select that item. And for the supervisor, you get the original input document on the left-hand side and the full completed form on the right-hand side. In the middle, we flag up that this is a referral to the supervisor because the amount is greater than the original operator's limit. So if we accept that referral and then approve the loan, the next thing that happens is the system generates a customer letter. In fact, the system is capable of generating many thousands of letters per day. And you can see here we're previewing the letter in Word for Windows. This was another advantage for us, the ability to be able to build in off-the-shelf software for our custom applications.
Now, what other kind of development are you doing?
Well, on the workflow side, we've got applications underway for credit cards and telesales. In addition to that, we're downsizing some mainframe applications, specifically a credit card transaction tracking system. We'll keep that data on NT SQL Server for 3 months on disk storage, and then archive the transactions to optical storage.
And when will you actually roll this out into production use?
We're actually rolling this out this summer, and over the next year we intend to deploy at least 40 multiprocessor systems with at least 1,500 clients, and we're already looking at further applications.
Well, that's really fantastic. Thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, now let's see what some more people are saying about Windows NT.
Different people at different times need different information. So we believe very much in a concept of information ownership and information sharing for those people that are authorized to use it. So the integrity of the system has to include security and recovery and backup And it has to be a high production environment. It has to be dependable. And so we think that with the design points for Windows NT and the integration that it provides, that we have the ability to provide that kind of a very high performance, high reliability computing environment.
AutoCAD users use the product as their prime work function. In fact, our studies have shown that they use the product in excess of 30 hours a week. They need power. They can't wait for a drawing to regen. They need the ability to work on multiple drawings simultaneously. It's very important for their productivity. Windows NT offers that. This will bring people who now are pencil CAD users to the desktop fold.
We have, for 10 years, been modifying other operating systems to enhance them to be capable of running symmetric multiprocessing. Finally, an operating system comes along that was designed for symmetric multiprocessing.
We're very excited to move our applications to Windows NT. Our customers are asking for some of the features of NT, things such as 32 bits, multiprocessor support, security, and they want to have the most popular Windows applications for productivity work, but perhaps more importantly, they're excited about using our applications as very powerful building blocks for client-server application development.
Well, one of the major reasons why Frame is interested in Windows NT is because we believe it brings the power of the workstation to the PC desktop. Frame's primary customers in the Unix marketplace, which has been the primary marketplace that we've played in, are engineers and scientists, people that use CAD case or electronic design tools.
For WordPerfect Corporation, this is a very important strategic choice because of our cross-platform strategy. Our new version of WordPerfect, our 32-bit version, we can take advantage of the security, the multitasking, the multi-threading capabilities.
At Intergraph, our development programmers have a background of doing graphics programming on a robust system. We've been on a Unix platform for some number of years. And Windows NT provides us with the same kind of robustness and the same kind of capabilities in the graphics programming system. In addition, it provides us with a persistent API that we can now utilize across all platforms.
As an underpinning for Lotus Notes, Windows NT is an ideal platform for extending the reach of mission-critical application thinking as it embraces new hardware platforms. We're particularly excited about the multiprocessor architecture support that's built into Windows NT. So the marriage of these two systems, I think, is going to afford us an opportunity to serve customers better going forward.
We believe that Windows NT will be a very viable platform for publishing applications, and so it's very important for us to get our type and our Adobe Type Manager onto the Windows NT platform.
Okay, Oracle 7 is a cooperative server database. What that means is we can have multiple server computers jointly or cooperatively managing a single database. When you have multiple computers running Oracle 7 and Windows NT, not only you get scalable performance by adding additional servers to manage the database, there is also no single point of failure in the system. That means Oracle 7 and Windows NT can not only provide better performance than a mainframe, it has no single point of failure and delivers better reliability than a mainframe.
National Fuel Gas is engaged in many phases of the natural gas business, including purchasing, transmission, storage, and sales. Over 700,000 customers in New York and Pennsylvania depend on National Fuel Gas for uninterrupted service. For us to provide reliable service, we depend on sophisticated software coupled with powerful hardware to manage the natural gas pipeline.
Please welcome Walter DeForest, Senior Vice President, National Fuel Gas Supply Corporation.
Hello, Bill. Hi, Walter. Well, tell us a little more about your business.
Well, in addition to the 700,000 retail customers that was mentioned in the film, we also have 12 wholesale customers and 15 long-term firm transportation customers. These are all large consumers in the northeastern United States. We operate over 17,000 miles of pipeline. We have 16 compressor sites, which constitute about 37,000 horsepower. We also maintain over 100 billion cubic feet of underground storage for winter deliveries.
How have all the regulatory changes affected what you do?
Well, the regulatory changes are that the federal government is now restructuring the natural gas industry, and this is creating a lot of administrative work for us.
And how do you monitor all the things that go on?
Well, we use a SCADA system. This stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. This is the system that allows us to monitor the pressures, the flows, and also operates remote compressor stations and valves in order to maintain our pipeline system. Let me introduce you to John Pistolka and Mike Alfano, and they'll show us a little bit more about what our system does.
Hey, hi, Bill. Hi, Bill. Bill, this is a schematic showing our hardware equipment and also our communication links, which are used for our SCADA system, which basically interconnects our 3 dispatch centers. What we have here is the map showing our service territory, which is basically western New York and northwest Pennsylvania. As you can see, the yellow dots represent those 3 sites or those 3 master centers where we actually dispatch gas to our system. The green stars indicate remote terminal units out in the field, which is gathering information from over 2,000 monitor and control points, which we need to operate our system via various means of communication, including high-speed digital links, satellite, lease circuits, and also radio wave. This information is processed and then sent to our master sites to be used for system operations. What we can do here is through the SCADA system, we can actually point to one of these various locations to actually bring up information about that site. Mike is going to press on Concord right here. What you see here basically is a drill down on a piece of our system, a more detailed picture. What you see is the pipelines, systems in that area, and also the various pressures and flows which are used to operate. These pressures and flows are continuously being updated for the system. What we're going to do is we're going to drill down even further and look at a different type of presentation, which is not graphical. It's more of a detail or a tabular type representation of our system, a schematic, which is used by our dispatchers. It's more complex, but again, it's what our dispatchers actually need to operate the system. Their job is to continuously balance the flows on a system, the amount of gas coming in versus the amount of gas going out, which is very dynamic. What you see here is basically a pipeline system, one of the many that we have, which actually receives gas at our interconnect in New York with Canada and transports it down to Pennsylvania and eventually gets to our customers in the Northeast. What we can do is we can actually look further down in the system, which our dispatchers would do, and here we're looking at our Concord compressor station, which is one of the stations along this pipeline system. As you can see, there are 5 compressors, and basically a lot of information about that compressor station is detailed on the screen here. But to get more information about each unit, we can actually just keep on drilling down, looking at one of the units. As you can see, this is our Concord compressor station, unit number 1, and this is basically the screen that our dispatchers use to monitor our dispatch system or this compressor automation or this compressor. Further, we can also start and stop these compressors on our system, which is really, this is a totally unmanned station, and through our dispatch center we can actually start, stop, and actually variate the compressors on our system. This same type of control function can also be used for other things such as regulators and also valves up to 36 inches diameter, much like you see here, which is a 3-inch valve on our system.
Oh, that's interesting. So you can show us how it actually does the control operation.
Sure, Mike, through the system here, can actually open the valve.
Now, ordinarily, this would operate a valve to cause gas to flow through the pipeline. We're going to blow some stage smoke through here instead to simulate it.
Well, that worked great. Why is it important to move your system to Windows NT?
Our customers tell us that it's no longer good enough just to do the traditional SCADA functions. We need to gather the data, but more importantly, we need to put that information into action on the business side as well as on the operations side of the company. Windows NT features such as remote procedure calls and object linking and embedding will allow us to do that. Our current system just doesn't have those capabilities.
And what are some of the other uses for this besides just pure data collection?
Well, the federal government and the state governments require us to file numerous reports. This creates a tremendous amount of paperwork for us, and we use the SCADA system to access the raw data, and we download that through programs such as Excel and other processing programs in order to provide the information for these forms.
And what will you be doing with Windows NT in the future?
Well, Windows NT in the future, we're going to use that to access our upstream pipeline bulletin boards in order to pull down data and to understand exactly how much capacity is available. We'll put this information into a yield management model, and this will allow us to maximize the revenues for the sale of unused capacity on our system.
Well, it's a fascinating application. Thanks so much for coming.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Well, Microsoft has had a particular focus on technical applications in the work we've been doing with NT. We wanted to make sure that it was absolutely powerful enough for the most demanding technical applications. In order to show you a few of these, I've asked Brian Moran, who's the manager of our technical evangelism, to come on out and give us some demonstrations. So Brian, what do we got here?
We have some cool technical applications.
So what kind of machine are we running on?
This is an NCR dual processor Pentium machine. We found that Unix and other workstation software vendors are finding that Windows NT has precisely the features that they need to host their complex applications and at the same time run all of their desktop productivity apps.
Now I see we've got a map of Atlanta here. That's a lot like the one I got from Avis.
Well, a lot of people use maps like this to navigate, but actually there's a better way. Let me close this paintbrush picture and bring up a product called InfoCAD from a company called Digital Matrix Services. This is a geographic information system. You can use it to find the optimal path between the airport and the convention center. To do so, just locate my start point down here at the airport, locate my end point here at the hotel, locate the end point at my hotel, and the application will chart the route for me. There it is. In addition to that, I can even get written instructions. Get a report, and here I go.
Well, that looked pretty easy. So with this mapping thing, could we use this to lay out the new information highway?
Well, let's hope that the White House is using complex modeling tools like these to do that job. Ever wonder what the view from the Oval Office looks like?
No, I've never thought about that.
Well, let's take a look anyway. I have another product called Model View from Intergraph. This is an application that allows us to do coloring, textual mapping, and walkthroughs of scenes like these. By the way, Intergraph is the largest Windows NT software development site in the world.
So with this kind of package, you could actually plan out some kind of redecoration that you want to do here?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead and let's make some changes.
Well, let's start with the couch. I don't particularly like that kind of darkness, so let's change that a bit, and we'll apply a new texture. How about the drapes? We'll change that as well. Make those a little bit warmer. And there we go.
Well, what about changing some of the artwork?
Well, that's a good idea. Let's take a better look. We'll zoom in a bit. There's George on the wall. Yes, let's take this president and replace it with the king.
Ah, there you go. I'm really interested in how these technical applications could help me with the new house I'm building. Do you have anything like AutoCAD up here?
Sure. Microsoft and Autodesk have been working very closely in the last year, and the result is that AutoCAD Release 11 for Windows, Release 12 for Windows NT really flies. Let me bring up a site plan, and you'll notice that we've finished loading the drawing.
That's great redraw speed.
Yeah, it's very fast. What we've done is we've worked with them to make the display list processing much better. In fact, it's built in. Watch as I zoom and pan around in the drawing. But that's not all. Let's get a different view of AutoCAD and Windows NT combined for greater processing capabilities. I have another drawing of a new site, of a new house, perhaps like yours, Bill.
I doubt it.
Well, this is a picture of a house, but we have a lot of lines here that we don't particularly need. Let's remove those, but at the same time, we'll use the symmetric multiprocessing capability of Windows NT to continue to work on this other drawing over here. And notice that the redraw is finished on the hidden line removal. This might not seem like much to most folks in the audience, but CAD users out there will really appreciate the power that Windows NT brings to complex computational tasks.
That's excellent. What other kind of technical applications do we have up on NT?
We have lots. We don't have time to show them to you here. What I would suggest you do is come on down to the Microsoft and Digital booth where you'll see products like Parametric Technologies Pro Engineer and Computer Vision's Design View application.
Super. Well, I'll definitely encourage people to do that. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Well, now let's see what some of the solution providers are saying about Windows NT.
Digital is a solutions provider on Alpha AXP architecture as well as on Intel PC-based architecture. And under Windows NT, we will offer a more complete set of solutions to our customer base in the way they want to buy it, supported by the kind of infrastructure and multi-vendor customer services that make them comfortable with their decision.
This formula is based on the MIPS R4000 CPU. The performance is 2 to 3 times better than the 486DX. Windows NT also independent with the hardware, so you can have many alternatives for the hardware implementation.
Our customers, who are the largest users of technology in the world, have application deployment as their most important mission and also their most expensive. What they look for is to make it easier to do that. What they want is flexibility from platforms. They want the same architecture to run on MIPS, Alpha, and Intel chips. They want integrated networking so that their programmers don't have to worry about it. What NT does is provide all of those capabilities.
The critical need in our future applications is to have enterprise-wide global interconnectivity of all of the nodes in the network. We think that the Windows NT operating system will be the significant element for the desktop.
Our customers are COBOL programmers that exist all over the world. When we started this company 15 years ago, they didn't think it was possible to put COBOL on a PC. Now it's not only possible, but we're actually running mainframe-size applications with Windows NT.
Anderson Consulting, being aware of the product announcement for Windows NT, have been very active in training our people. We've taken a couple of hundred people, and we've already put them through the basic training. So we want to be ready day one with a cadre of professional service providers that can hit the marketplace and be effective.
Windows NT really allows us to advance and to enhance the services that we provide to this more sophisticated environment. We really talk to the IS people as architects, we talk to the work group people as the builders, and then we help train the overall staff.
Our customers are in the public sector and government in the UK. Clients like the Department of Social Security, the Inland Revenue, the Customs and Excise. They have large distributed infrastructure. We see the arrival of Windows NT giving us the ability through client-server computing in fundamentally changing the nature of solutions that are delivered.
The future of the computing industry is largely based on client-server computing, in which both Microsoft and Novell are participating very strongly on behalf of the customer in every respect, making sure that the technologies work together, that the support issues are spread between the two companies so that we mutually support each product. Customers always benefit when they know that partners in the business are working together to make their problems more solvable.
As the nation's largest catalog retailer, JCPenney Catalog Telemarketing handles more than 70 million customer calls per year. AT&T Business Communication Services provides us with powerful telecommunications software to manage our business. Working together, AT&T and JCPenney are building better tools based on Windows NT to more effectively manage our customer service levels.
Please welcome Patrick Rowe, Network Manager, Catalog Telemarketing, JCPenney Telemarketing Incorporated.
Hi, Patrick. Hey, Bill. How you doing today?
So the JCPenney catalog operation is one of the biggest users of 800 service?
Yes, Bill. We handle approximately 70 million calls a year distributed to 14 telemarketing centers located throughout the United States.
That's amazing. And you work pretty closely with AT&T in doing this?
Yes, we do. We've had a long relationship with AT&T. They provide build tools and provide support to help us manage our 800 network.
That's interesting. How would you manage 70 million calls a year?
Well, actually, Bill, it's a three-part answer. The first part is we first must know where our calls are coming from. The second part is we must know how our centers are performing. And the third part is we must know or must be able to route our traffic. Would you like to see a demo of how we do that?
Good.
Great. First, I'd like to introduce Joe Iudu, AT&T Inbound Management Services, and Grant Smith, Product Manager, or Product Development.
So how are AT&T and JCPenney's working together on this?
Well, Bill, AT&T provides both 800 service and network management tools to give our customers the ability to better manage their business. Your question.
And how long have you been developing for Windows NT?
Well, we've been developing for Windows NT for approximately 12 months now. We think it's great for running multiple applications simultaneously.
And what else is key about Windows NT?
Well, Windows NT is a strategic platform for delivering interoperable, integrated network management solutions to our customers. What you see on the monitor is a performance monitoring tool like AT&T Topums or Call Attempt Data Real-Time. It provides near real-time display of activity to a customer's telemarketing center. This application is running on a Unix server in New Jersey. Its display is being directed here using Windows NT's networking, built-in network services, and Xvision's X11 Windows server.
With this information, we can make changes to our network if a center becomes overloaded or if we have agents available.
Now, do you make many changes based on the information you get here?
Yes, we make approximately 300 changes per day using Routing Manager as the tool.
One of the features of Routing Manager is the ability to select a service center, to see the area codes allowed to send calls, and change the allowed routing. And I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of that at this point in time. This is the customer profile where we have selected an Atlanta service center. Now we display a graphical display of the map, and as you can see, the areas in blue are area codes that are allowed to send calls to that Atlanta service center. I can change the allowed routing by basically selecting the state, or I could even do it by the area code level. Once I have made my selections, I apply the changes, and there's a message that says that this termination, which is the Atlanta Service Center, has been modified. In addition to using, complementing our 800 network routing tools is Online Call Detail Manager, which is a database management system that uses the Online Call Detail Data Service. Now what we'll see here is the interface for Online Call Detail Manager. What a manager can do is they can select a query that they've already built in order to do performance monitoring or analysis of their historical activity in the center. We've created an application that shows the Atlanta Center, and there are 15,000, 16,000 calls that have just come in. What we're going to do is process this query to see how many of those calls were between 1 second and 1 minute. And what we see is that we have about 1,150 calls. Now this is a nice piece of information, but our managers usually require a greater level of detail. So what we'll do is we provide for them a standard report And we'll run the area code summary report so we can get a better analysis of calls to the Atlanta center based on that query. Now what we're going to come up with is a textual format of a report. We can see the report and we say, okay, this is very nice information, but in order to draw an immediate impact for business presentation, there's a graphics capability. So we'll display the graph, and what you can see is the dispersion of where calls were coming from based upon that query.
Now, why is this important?
Well, Bill, it's very hard to predict where our calls are coming from. Advertising and other promotions don't give you a lot of times, the ability to adjust that. The flexibility of being able to route on demand allows us to keep our customer service very high.
Bill, because of Windows NT 32-bit operating system and multi-architecture, we then have the capability for AT&T to deliver a solution of multiple 800 network management tools to a user's desktop to be run simultaneously.
We rely on AT&T as a service provider to provide us with network management tools, and we believe that Windows NT will extend the information provided by AT&T's applications to more desktops.
Well, it's a fantastic application. Thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Windows NT is a product to combine the best of many previous spheres. We really feel it will change the definition of many of the terms in computing. There's really three spheres that we went after, as I said earlier. The first is to capture all the things that have been great about the PC. That includes the hardware choices that people have had. It includes the incredible competition there. It includes the choices of Windows applications, and specifically being able to run today's DOS and Windows applications. A second domain we went after was having all the features that have been prevalent on many computers and mainframes, all the things you need to run mission-critical applications. Now, in order to get these applications and capabilities to come together, we had to work with tool providers that provide tools that have been specific to this type of transaction development. This includes all of the very popular case-type tools. The third domain that we wanted to pull together was the workstation domain. Now, the workstation has been characterized by high performance, advanced graphics, and having a rich operating system environment. And many developers have had a dilemma as they picked an application of which domain to go after. Should they write on the PC and worry about the robustness or running out of speed? Should they run on the workstation where they get tied to a particular vendor? Or should they continue working on the mini computer and mainframe? Well, we feel that by building Windows NT and working together with all of these partners, we've pulled the best of all three of those worlds together. And so now people can have a single system to focus their applications on that doesn't suffer from any of those limitations. Of course, Windows NT is a member of what we call the Windows family. The idea of the Windows family is to span from the top to the bottom, from the very simplest PC you can imagine, which would be one that you'll carry around in your pocket, to the portable machine, to the desktop machine, all the way up to these 32 processor servers we're talking about. We want to be able to share all of user interface training, tools, and applications development from top to bottom. So Windows NT fulfills the high end of this family. In order to properly fulfill that role, we built into Windows NT an immense number of compatibility features. Of course, the ability to run DOS and Windows applications, but also the ability to migrate OS/2 applications. We've made it simple to take the products that people have written and move them across, and so people can get into the NT environment. We also provide what are called the POSIX APIs. This is the standard definition of what Unix is. And so we pass the same compliance test that all the different licensed versions of Unix pass. Now, this makes it easy for people to build on top of Windows NT things like XPG3 compliance. And so it's as easy to move applications here as to any other form of Unix that's out there. Now, the most important API that's built into Windows NT is what we call the Windows 32-bit API. This is our recommended API for applications developers of all types. And we'll be providing this API in many, many different places. Of course, we'll provide it on today's Windows with a subset called Win32s. The full capability of Win32 is built in to NT, running on workstations with either Intel or RISC instruction sets. And of course, it's the same running over on the server, whether it's uniprocessor or multiprocessor. Two new special programs that we just announced in the last month include the ability to take the Windows 32-bit API and run it on top of existing versions of Unix. In order to achieve this, we'll be working with third parties like Insignia, and they'll provide the full runtime environment to host these applications. Microsoft itself will be putting out a set of tools that let you compile up Windows 32-bit applications and run those on the Macintosh with either its 68,000 instruction set or its PowerPC instruction set. Now, Windows NT comes in two different packages. There's the standard Windows NT box and what we call Windows NT Advanced Server. Windows NT itself is very, very rich. You might wonder, why don't we have a product called Windows NT Server? That's because we built right into Windows NT everything you expect from today's file and print server systems. And so only with buying that package, you're immediately set up and ready to go with the network. The people who need Windows NT Advanced Server are people who need the advanced fault tolerance, are people who've been having to buy extra add-on packages to run on their servers. We include right into this package the centralized administration, the ability to dial in for the remote access server, and the ability to connect up to the Macintosh. So those extra add-ons are all built in and integrated in a very advanced way into the systems administration. And so these are the two different forms of NT. Now, NT has really been optimized to provide very high performance for a wide range of applications. Some that we think are particularly important are database applications and what kind of transaction speeds you'll be able to get out of the system. We've already done preliminary benchmarking showing exactly what the benefits of the system are. And so you see here in the green running these transaction benchmarks against the OS/2 operating system. Then in blue, you'll see NT running both against the 486 and a RISC processor. We haven't run the numbers yet for Intel's Pentium chip, but we expect that it'll be in the same range as the top of the chart there, and so providing really incredible performance for these systems. Now, the relative numbers that I'm indicating here are all on uniprocessor systems. And one thing that we're very proud of is the way that NT performance scales. That is, the way you get extra performance as you add additional processors to the system, providing you with as much flexibility as has ever been provided in any hardware family. Now, NT is in its final stages of development. We have over 75,000 people who are beta testing the product right at this time. Our plan in terms of shipping the product is to wait until those people agree that it's rock solid before we put it out to the marketplace. So we're continuing to monitor their feedback. We do expect we'll be able to clear the product for final shipment within the next 60 days. In fact, one of the, and now let me go through exactly how the pricing for the product works. Windows NT will primarily be bought as an upgrade. That's because such a high percentage of today's systems already have Windows pre-installed. The list price in terms of buying it as an upgrade is $295. People who want to buy it for a new system that doesn't have either Windows or OS/2 already installed on it pay a list price of $495. The advanced server will have an introductory price of $1495 And after 6 months, that will move up to $29.95. We also have special pricing for people who are upgrading from the OS2 LAN Manager, and that price is $5.95. Now, we expect to have literally millions of customers for this system, but I expect one of the best customers will be Microsoft itself. In fact, our very complex PC network really demands the unique features of Windows NT.
Microsoft maintains one of the largest personal computer networks in the world. With over 30,000 PCs and 1,000 servers spread over 120 sites, our business really depends on these systems. We're migrating all of our servers to the Windows NT platform. This provides us power, reliability, and a much more manageable environment.
In order to talk about how Microsoft will be using NT, I've asked Neil Evans, Microsoft's CIO, to come and talk about his plans. Hi, Neil.
Hi, Bill.
Well, I guess you've already been working with NT, and so you're getting down the experience curve already.
That's right, Bill. We've been running Windows NT for more than a year, and we've had it in production for 6 months. What I like most about it is its manageability, and it also fits nicely into our multi-vendor environment. Besides Windows machines, we have Macintoshes, OS2 and Novell servers, AS400s, and DEC VAXes. One of our biggest challenges is just administering such a large network, and Windows NT offers us some great new tools.
Now, how will you be using these tools?
Well, it's easier for us to show you than tell you, so let's walk over here where we're connected to the Microsoft network. Now, Bill, you know Debbie Alsop, our network engineer responsible for deploying Windows NT on a worldwide basis?
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Bill. One of the really great things about Windows NT is that with one logon, I can access servers anywhere in Microsoft's worldwide network. And what's really cool is that today I'm connected to Redmond and can access our worldwide network using nothing more than a phone line.
Well, what kind of connection are you using?
Well, as you can see from the screen, Bill, I'm using remote access service over an ISDN link. And as you see these numbers change, you can see that the link is live. This is a 128 kV link, which is actually pretty fast and comfortable